Some of you may have thought that you were just coming to a regular Wednesday evening Mass here at the St. Joseph campus of All Saints Parish, but is it ever really just a normal Wednesday Mass, or is it ever any normal Mass? I'm going to ask for our altar boys to come and sit down in the front row. Knuckleheads, let's go. Yeah. All of them. So we like the white boys as well. You can come down as well. I apologize. I need to be very clear in my definitions. We have the altar boys and we have the white boys. Okay. So as I begin, a few introductions. First, this is Deacon Jacob Lindell, who is a transitional deacon of the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. He'll be ordained a priest in less than a year, and we're very excited about that. His parents, yes, that's very good. His parents are parishioners here at All Saints Parish, and so we kind of adopted him as a son of All Saints, so it's very good to have him. He told me that before Mass tonight that St. John Vianney is not yet his patron saint, but he will be in a year from now, so we're excited about that. We welcome tonight particularly our seniors who are altar boys who are with us this evening, the senior altar boys whose time as altar boys is quickly coming to a close, are having a little gathering after Mass this evening on this glorious feast of St. John Vianney. I'd like to also personally welcome the Oleg family that are here today on the 3rd anniversary of St. Miles, who we very, very much so know is with the good Lord tonight. We ask also with us today this relic that hails from the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. This is a chair, so the chair that you're looking at here actually is from the rectory in Ars, France. So this was a chair from the rectory in Ars, France that was gifted to the Trappist monks in Kentucky, who then gifted it to the parish of St. John Vianney in Cincinnati that is now closed. And it is always kept there, and it is part of the Rediscover the Saints exhibit that we have at our parish during our summer festivals. So if you have not yet been to the Rediscover the Saints exhibit, this is one of the many relics that are on display there, and you should go this weekend because it's the last time to see the entire exhibit on display. This evening, I would like to speak, of course, about my patron saint. I know I'm crying all of a sudden, but I'd like to speak about my patron saint. I'd also like to speak to these seniors that are before me, and I'd like to speak, of course, to my entire parish. St. John Vianney, without a doubt, has had the most impact upon me than any other priest that I've ever met in my life. Even Father Hollowell or Father Bolick or the great priests in my seminary career, not one priest has made the impact as much as St. John Vianney. So I know that I can sometimes preach way too long, so I'm going to try to just have 5 points and have them be short and quick, and we'll go from there. So, I have no idea what will be said about me when I die, or what will be said about me when I leave All Saints Parish, God willing, in 12 years. I would hope that these 5 things that I mentioned about St. John Vianney tonight will be said about me. Because everything that I have done as a priest is rooted and modeled in a man, and everything I do as a priest is rooted in the person of Jesus Christ, who I have seen most beautifully portrayed as a priest in St. John Vianney. So the first is this. St. John Vianney had a dream, a vision, and a purpose for Ars. When St. John Vianney arrived in Ars, France, in 1818, there were 4 people that went to Mass. 4. When he left the French government, who was anti-Catholic, literally laid down railroad tracks because thousands of people came to go to Mass and be absolved by him in the confessional. When he arrived in ours, he knelt down on his very first day. He extended his arms in front of the Blessed Sacrament. He said, Lord, this church will not be big enough for the people that will come here to encounter your mercy. He said that when only 4 people came to Mass. One of the most important lessons I think we can learn about from St. John Vianney is that you need to have a dream, a vision, and a purpose for how you're going to live your life, or you will always settle for mediocrity. You need to always have a dream, a vision, and a purpose, and you need to fight for that dream, that purpose, or that vision, or you will always be like everybody else, and you will settle for mediocrity. We talk a lot here at All Saints Parish about our purpose. We try to be very clear about it, because Vianney had a very, very, very clear dream and purpose for his parish. Gentlemen, whether you become a priest, whether you get married, whether you have children, whether you serve our country, if you don't have a dream and a purpose and a vision that is really, really big, you will settle for mediocrity and you will be like everybody else, and you'll most likely be miserable. And that is not God's plan for you. Second, availability. St. John Vianney, as we know, would spend 14 hours a day sitting in the confessional. As I always like to say, he wasn't hiding from people. He was there to make himself available. When he arrived in ours and no one went to confession, he moved into the church. He literally lived in the church to make himself available to God, and then ultimately that led to the availability that he gave to his people. We talk all the time about how our best ability is availability. St. John Vianney is the quintessential model of availability. We're blessed here at All Saints Parish to have confessions. We have 12 hours of confession this Friday. We have confessions before all of our daily masses. We've now started 12 hours confession at St. Mary's in Aurora on the 3rd Friday. The great movie that we all are familiar with, the tagline, if you build it, they will come. Availability is the key to life, whether it be in relationships, whether it be in business, or whether it be in distributing the sacraments. The more available that we make things, the more grace that is given. In your relationships, young men, your availability to God in prayer will change them. The more available you are to God, the more available you'll be in your other relationships. Dream and purpose, availability. Third, John Vianney shut down 5 taverns. He radically changed the people in ours. He changed people's lives, radically changed them. One of my phrases that you know that I say all the time is we have to change your habits, you have to change your life. How did Vianney change the habits of people? By 2 ways. He changed people's habits by his preaching. Vianney was actually a really bad preacher. And I wrote my master's thesis on his preaching. There is no one who claims that Vianney was a good preacher. No one. Near the end of his life, he actually had lost all of his teeth, and most people could not actually make out the words that he was saying. But when he did preach, he was very, very strong. In seminary, we were taught that you should be like a lion in the pulpit and a lamb in the confessional. Vianney was able to change the habits of his people from being drunkards, slaves to work, and ignoring their families and ignoring church, to being a town that radically was reorientated towards family, towards life, towards devotion, towards prayer, and towards serving the pilgrims who came from all over to have their confession heard by Vianney. Our life changes when our habits change. Vianney was able to change their habits, number one, through his preaching, second, and most importantly, by the life that he lived. His example of laying down his life for his people changed the hearts of the husbands and the wives that then affected their children. There was a ripple-down effect. His preaching was done more through his actions than through his words. Actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. A lot of people can talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk. Vianney changed people's lives by setting an example for them on how to live a disciplined life that leads to freedom and joy. Change your habits, you change your life. Ours changed because of the life of Vianney. Dream, availability, changing your habits and changing your life. Fourth is Vianney had a radical commitment to young people. It's one of the most neglected things that I believe about Vianney's life. But if you look at Vianney's life, Vianney built an orphanage for all of the homeless children in ours because of the barn dances that left young girls pregnant with no father to raise their children. He ran a school where he himself paid out of his own monies the bills to feed the children. He sold possessions out of the rectory to feed the children. He taught catechism lesson every single day to the children of ours. If you want to change people's lives, you have to start with the youth. Gentlemen, if you become fathers one day, whether it be a priest or whether it be natural fathers, you have to form your children. You cannot allow the world to form your children. If you do, they will be pagan. In the 1800s, the bishops of America made the decision to open Catholic schools because they were afraid that children were going to become Protestant, because they taught the King James Version of the Bible in our public school systems. Now, the fear and the focus isn't on children becoming Protestant by going to a public school. The fear is that they'll be downright pagan, that they will worship the Lord, the world and money and pleasure. And this is why your parents homeschool you or drag you to religious ed and youth ministry, and why you, as fathers one day, need to do the exact same. Vianney was intent that he had to change the young people, and he dedicated a lot of his life to it. Dream, availability, change your habits, youth. Lastly, is that nothing happens without prayer and penance. Vianney spent hours every day in front of the Blessed Sacrament. His devotion to the Eucharist was like none other. I found perpetual adoration chapels for one reason, because of my patron saint. Vianney would spend hours every day in front of the Blessed Sacrament, and everyone should, not just priests. He believed in contemplative prayer, but he also believed that penance was a form of prayer. He believed that disciplining himself and offering up bodily mortifications was in union with his contemplative prayer. In a world saturated by comfort, we are called to be men of prayer, deep prayer in union with God. And out of that prayer, everything flows. In the past 27 days since I began working at the 3 other parishes in this county, I have been stopped by more people who just keep, people that aren't Catholic, people that don't go to church, and they're all just like, that's crazy. There's no way you can do this. It's absolutely insane. I just keep saying, it's not me. Like, if you pray, it's God who works through you. Like, but you have to act. You need to do something. Vianney was a man of tremendous, tremendous action. If you go to ours and you see what he did when he restored the churches, when he built the orphanage for these young children, He did not rest. He never rested. He worked constantly, but so did he pray. He prayed and mortified himself for the sake of his people. As a husband or as a priest, you must do the same. Great husbands and great fathers are men of prayer, and we must follow Vianney, who teaches us that. I believe that being a man of purpose and a man who dreams of great availability, a man of habit, a man who lives for young people, and a man of prayer and penance, with this as a model and with this as a recipe, you can change the world. And that's exactly what God wants to do with you. Many of you have served with me for the past 7 years. I hope to God, and I mean this, I hope to God that these lessons stay with you. Our world is desperately in need of change, and you can't wait for somebody else to do it. God wants you to be the influencer when you go to college, when you go to the military. God wants you to be an influencer among your peers, and it starts with a dream and a purpose and a vision, your availability, your habits, your dedication to young people, and most importantly, your intimate relationship with Christ in daily prayer and in mortification. Be a saint, make saints. That's the message that Vianney teaches you today and teaches all of us. Through God's grace, may it be so. Through the intercession of Vianney, may it be so. Gentlemen.